One thing that Jonathan and I are facing right now, much like you, is how is AI changing media? Our model is really dependent upon page views and SEO. And if you know anything about AI, it's completely destroying that. I bring this up because the new thing is going to be GEO, which is generative engine optimization, and how AI can support your brand. The reason I point that out is because I think here's an opportunity, which is if we're going to build trust and have proprietary stories, exclusive stories, if we're the only ones telling your stories, that's good for us because it's going to help this new GEO model. But I think the format of media, you guys got to watch this. It's really going to change. And it's going to change how we write stories as much as what we write about. Hey, everybody. I guess first thing I want to say is one of my favorite things about the restaurant industry is how human it is. I think this is a beautifully diverse and wonderful industry. And I tell people I feel so lucky to be in it. Dirty little secret, never worked in a restaurant before in high school.
Really?
I mowed lawns. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't work in restaurants. So I feel so lucky to be in this industry. And I tell people all the time, it's because of how human we are and how much we love each other. And I think this is an important moment to say that no matter our differences, we rally behind people in their moment of need and respect everybody's differences wherever they came from. So, with that said, would love for you to focus on what we have to say. Hopefully we have something valuable to share with you. We're going to talk a little bit about media. I think first thing I want to do though is show of hands. How many of you have listened to either my podcast or Jonathan's podcast? Awesome. Leave it in the air if mine is your favorite. Right. Cool. Sorry, Jonathan. My name's Sam Oches, editor-in-chief of Nation's Restaurant News. He's Jonathan Mays, editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business. For a long time, we were enemies. For a long time, we were adversaries. And now we're colleagues. Enemies is a strong word. It's not like we lobbed things at each other, but we were competitors. We were competitors. Now we're colleagues. Jonathan, tell me about yourself and Restaurant Business, what you guys do.
Well, we're a restaurant business. We are a 100-plus-year-old publication that is now just a website that covers the breadth of the restaurant industry. And I'm the editor-in-chief. I've been covering the industry for almost 2 decades now in various formats. And how about you, Sam? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And
So even though I never worked in a restaurant, I've now covered restaurants for 16 years, first 12 at QSR. I helped to launch FSR magazine and then came over to Informa, which owns Nation's Restaurant News, and then purchased Winsight, which owned Restaurant Business. And now we're one big happy family. Jonathan, obviously we are trade media. So to set the stage here, trade media, of course, we are an industry publication. So we are writing to and about the restaurant industry. Our audience is restaurant owners, executives, managers, franchisees. Why is that an important distinction to make from all other media?
It's a really good question. I mean, we are targeted media. Our audience, you are our audience. You and people interested in the restaurant business is who we're trying to reach. And that is traditionally what business-to-business publications have been trying to do. So, historically, RB, the magazine would be distributed to physical restaurants, or you would subscribe specifically to it. And now, in the current world, we are still trying to target you as a specific audience. So we are really specialized in the type of coverage that we provide.
That's right. Yeah, and I think it's an important distinction too, because Andrew wants us to talk to you guys about how to get your story out there in the media, how to get coverage for your brand. And I think this is important because, of course, we're different than local media in that we're not necessarily going to drive sales to your restaurant. We're different than national consumer media in that we might not be writing about how great you are, although we'd love to, talk about how great you are. We are writing about the business of your concept and how it fits in the broader context of the restaurant industry. And we are writing to the industry. And why that's important is because vendors read our publication. Investors read our publication. So I think it's important to say that getting coverage in our publications is a great thing because it gets the eyes of the industry on your brand. And if growth is your goal, which I imagine everybody in this room, it is your goal, then being highlighted in one of our publications is by and large a good thing for them.
Right. And the other thing to keep that's a very important point because if you're selling franchises, for instance, franchisees read our publications. or lenders are reading our publications. People who are making big decisions are reading our publications, and they want to know what's going on, and they want to hear what's going on about these particular brands. But the other thing to think about, though, Sam, is that we're the ones leading the conversation, and a lot of the times, we're the ones that know about trends before the broader mainstream media will know about them. You know, we've known about the emerging value wars that have been coming, for instance, for a long time. We know about trends long before others pick up on them. And so a lot of times the mainstream media will actually follow what we're reporting, which is actually more of a more of a modern situation, thanks to social media and whatever, and digital publications. But the fact is that, we're the ones that are often at the forefront of what's going on.
I realize now this is one gigantic shameless plug for our publications, and that's okay. If you want to go subscribe to our newsletters and podcasts, please do so. If you haven't already, I expect you all have. Anyway, let's answer the question. What is key for the brands in this room for getting their story out there to media like ours, Jonathan?
Do you mean other than file for bankruptcy or sell to a private equity firm or go public or something like that?
Or pay us a little money on the side?
Yeah. No, the key thing, the key thing to me is to just be available. Say yes. The easiest and best thing that you can do is just get to know us, talk to us. If you go to one of our events or look us up at some of these other events like this one, a number of you have reached out to both of us at some point today, I'm sure. That is a really, really good first step. Make sure we know who you are, because there are a lot of restaurants in the United States, a lot of them. And the best thing you could do is just let us know who you are and then just be available. Actually, to be perfectly honest, the person that comes to mind when I think about this question about one of the best ways to get yourself into the publication is Troy Hooper. Troy should probably be sitting up here. In fact,
Troy, where are you?
Troy's probably itching to run up here right now, what I know about Troy.
Have you posted to LinkedIn already about this session?
Yeah, he probably has. Yeah, and he's probably tagged both of us. And he reminds us, but he says yes. He appears at things. He talks to us. He is present, have a presence. Yeah. It is really probably the best thing that you could do to get yourself known and get out there. You are your best spokesperson, and that is a major role in getting media.
Yeah, I double down on that and just say that, to your point, Jonathan, 1 million restaurants in the United States, something like 1,500 chains with 5 locations or more. And so there's a lot of noise out there for us. And our publications, of course, cover the major news of what's going on out there with the big chains. And so getting our attention may seem hard, but we are accessible. Wouldn't you say, Jonathan? I think we're very human beings, right?
You can get a hold of us it's 2025.
Yeah.
Like, look, you can find our email addresses.
It's everywhere.
You can ping me on LinkedIn. You can ping us on X. You can, whatever social media. I mean, social media is fantastic for that. My DMs, frankly, are always open. So, that is a really, really good way to get a hold of us. LinkedIn is another one.
And while we are busy, we love to meet new brands. I mean, Jonathan, I'm sure you have some examples of this, but I remember meeting the folks at Kava when they had 3 locations, right? I remember meeting the guys at Sweet Green when they had maybe 10 locations. And it's a very cool thing for us to be a part of your growth story. We want to be a part of it. We want to tell that story, not because selfishly we want to get the scoop. We do. But we also really enjoy getting to know you guys and watching your growth, right? And so email us. Even though we're really busy, we want to be able to get FaceTime with you. Events are a great way to do that. And I love what you said, Jonathan, about you being the best spokesperson for your brand. Get your face out there. Go on the event circuit. Go to the events. Post on social media. Engage with folks like us or catalysts in the industry. JG is a great example of that. JG knows everybody. And when you engage with people like him and other catalysts in this industry, you're getting your name out there. You're meeting the right people. And that always, these things stick in the back of my mind like, oh, yeah, I have met that person before I remember this. But I think one thing I also really lean into here and talking about how to share your story, what's the right way to make an impact? Figure out what is unique about your story. If you are a burger brand and you serve burgers and fries, your hook might not be in your menu, but what's your origin story? What is a unique challenge you've overcome? What is your story? Because everybody has a unique story that they can tell. And we've heard a lot of them, but we want to hear more of them because at the end of the day, we're in the story business. We want that unique story to share.
I can't emphasize that enough because we at the end of the day, we have to tell a story. And that's what we're trying to do. And all stories need certain drama. They need the elements that are going to get people continuing to read the story. Like one of the, she didn't say it, but Nicole Robinson didn't mention it when she was on stage, but she had like one of those elements that I just loved. Like when she was early on in Swig's history, she had a deal with Coke, and then she insisted on getting on pouring cans of Pepsi to make sure that she could get that product line out there as well. So there is something about your brand that emphasizes what makes you special. And it's not just because, oh yeah, you have fresh ingredients, for instance. Everybody says they got fresh ingredients, but it's something about how the brand started or how the brand persevered, how it overcame a challenge. And don't be afraid to share some of the negative parts that you had to overcome, because that's really key context. So that story is really, really important.
And I think it's important for us to say here too, right? If you're familiar with NRN or RB, yes, again, we do a lot of financial coverage, a lot of, this is what the news is. But I like to think we also do a fair amount of human interest. We do a lot of profiles. It is a lot of get to know this restaurant. So that's the context through which we would likely share your story. But another context we might share your story is you might be a source for a bigger story. And I keep pointing to Jonathan, by the way, because I just don't write anymore. I'm way too slow at it. So I do a podcast. Jonathan, however, is extraordinarily prolific, and you probably read his stuff. And so a good example of, Jonathan's always writing these big context stories of what's going on in the industry. And you always need sources, Jonathan, right? So you're always looking for new fresh meat to throw in there.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we have an insatiable need for content. I can't actually emphasize, we each have, how many stories you put in your newsletter every single day?
Yeah, 10 to 15 stories a day.
Yeah. 10, so you think about that for a minute, and you think about over the course of the year. And, there are a lot of stories that we need to produce to continue to produce our newsletter, that we continue to have to tell. And so, providing, so don't be afraid to offer yourself up as a source for other additional stories, to include as a, if I'm writing a story on AI in restaurants, for instance, if you have some thoughts on AI in restaurants, I'm all ears actually, especially right now, things like that. So there are countless opportunities for that, and then just be open.
And of course, now we're doing so much multimedia content, podcasting. Jonathan and I, our podcasts are weekly. Video, we are really ramping up how much video we're doing. So there's a need to be able to share that kind of content as well. So the point is that we're not just doing written stories. That's not the only way we can share your story. We can have you as a guest on a podcast, do a quick little video. If one of your locations is in one of our cities or one of the cities of our team, we can go there and get some footage of it. There are so many different ways for us to tell your story. But yes, it goes back to we need to know you're there and what your story is. Jonathan, what are some things they should not do to get their story out in the media? Where to begin?
Oh, gosh, yeah, where to begin? Number one is don't be unnecessarily standoffish. And I mean it. It sounds weird. Look, first off, we're not going to bite unless you have... unless you've done something that we have to bite for. And you know what I mean by that? I don't know, you're, for instance, selling 1,500 people on a franchise that wasn't actually operable, for instance.
Hopefully none of you would do that.
Hopefully none of you in this audience have done that. But so we're not really going to bite. And so if we ask, and we, like as journalists, we always crave openness. And so if we ask you a question and you say, well, I can't give you that information, if I consider that information simple, then that is something that's going to, it's going to get my, it's going to raise my journalism thing. Anyway, so
Spidey senses.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what you're going for.
Thank you. But I'll tell you a story. It's like a very large privately held pizza chain once used their PR firm to push a feature story, and I really wanted to write a big profile on these guys, and because they were doing some really interesting things at the time, and so and then I asked them a simple question: how many locations do they have in the United States? This is the question that I asked them, and they wouldn't tell me that answer, and then I just said no. So sometimes, just all you have to do is just be yourself. And just, and look, if there's something that you really can't say, just say, look, I can't say that for whatever reason. It's okay. But like, if you don't be unnecessarily standoffish. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We don't have to see your P&L. You don't have to open your books to us.
No,
right?
We don't. No, we don't need, just some basic everyday information.
But not everything is proprietary, right? Don't be so precious with some of those details. Don't be too aggressive. Don't ask to be on my cover. A lot of people do that. You would be surprised at how many people want to be on the cover of NRN. We have a print magazine still monthly. I got 12 of them a year, guys. And again, 1,500 restaurant companies with more than 5 locations. You can't just ask for it. So don't ask to be on the cover. Also, we don't really need to know when you open one new restaurant, right? The news that we want is a little bit more substantial. We want to know when you change your menu, when you go through a rebrand. We want to know the big news that you have, because there are new restaurants opening every single day. That stuff just doesn't fit in our content. So don't be too aggressive. Don't be too standoffish. Be just right, somewhere in the middle.
I will say the one comment on the new location, because like if you are opening new locations, that is absolutely a great opportunity to get local press. Absolutely.
Correct.
You should target, PR to local media should be a major part of your market opening strategy. And those guys also have demands for content, and they will want to tell your story.
Yes.
So, if you are opening a new location in Houston, find the local media and say, hey, we are opening a new location in your backyard. You find the Business Journal. The Business Journals, by the way, are great for this. But your local publications, your local TV stations, those are the people that you want to target with your local openings. Or if you're like Troy Hooper, you just tag me on a LinkedIn post, and then you just keep me updated.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Jonathan. And again, really shows you the difference between what we do in trade media and what the local media can be for you. Now, that brings up a good point, which is, do you need a public relations firm? The answer here, I think, is yes. Why do you need a public relations firm? Now, PR firm is going to be good at connecting to those local media entities. Depending on which PR firm you go with, this is going to be a person who is going to be very centrally focused on making sure that local media gets the news, consumer media gets the news, and trade media gets the news. And they should be set up with all of the assets that we need in the media. They should have photos. They should have videos. They should be able to answer all the questions. And for the love of God, if they pitch us a story and we say yes, they should say, okay, I'm going to set you up with it right away. Because that's a pet peeve of mine. Have you had that happen, Jonathan, when they pitch a story and then they ghost? That drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah. Don't ghost us.
Yeah. Don't ghost us.
So, yeah, I mean, if you hire a PR firm and that PR firm sets that up, make sure that gets back to the earlier comment. Be available. It's really important. By the way, Sam, are you on the payroll for a PR firm here or something like that?
I just no. It's hot in here. Right. But listen, the PR firm is going to do a great job. We know lots of them. A great one to point out here as we about to get played off the stage is Champion. Champion is probably a lot of your PR firms because they are Savory's PR firm. That's a good example of, we know Champion very, very well. And so Champion is in my inbox almost every day. And so that's a good example of how a PR firm, they know us. We have relationships with them. So any client they get in there is validated by Champion. So therefore we know can be validated for our content.
And now we know who's paying Sam.
Yep, there you go. I know.
All right, now the
Big PR.
the host of Session Death is here.
Well, that was a great lead into this first question. Someone here will recognize their question. You want to hear it?
Okay.
Are you ready
Sure.
for a little lighthearted moment? How much cash on the side? But seriously, we've been convinced that PR agencies are the only way to make meaningful contacts with publications such as yourself. Shellfishly, we want to talk about crab Rangoons and our digital-first Chinese concept. Are you above being bribed by crab Rangoon?
Well, this is an important part to say that what a code of ethics is for journalists, which is no, we cannot be bribed. However, I am not opposed to eating free food. And in fact, embrace it. I love free food. I cannot exchange free food for content officially.
No.
Jonathan, any other ethical?
No. I'll tell a very quick story. Once in a previous life, I covered healthcare, and some guy, I kid you not, calls me and says, "You need skincare based on this picture of yours in the newspaper, and so I will give you a free skin treatment if you write a story on us." I'm like, "All right, screw you." And no. So anyway.
And I think your skin looks great, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you didn't need that.
Do we have
But
pseudonyms?
sure. No, I mean, one thing about the PR firm, because he is absolutely right. You do not want to be spending your time looking up journalists. I mean, you want to meet us and stuff like that, but you don't want to spend your time looking up where to send press releases, who these journalists are in local markets. You do want firms for that. They specialize in it. And I can tell you, companies that do employ PR firms do get more results.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is about press releases, and they want to know, tell us the difference between a press release that gets ignored and one that gets your attention.
Press releases, press releases are not the easiest way to get covered because press releases tend to be just more formal. I guess to answer the question is that I like a personal pitch. I like somebody coming into my inbox, not too long because I don't have time, right? Like, give me a couple sentences on the story and why it's great. And I don't have time to read the press release. So for me, it's better if you just have a personal connect, whether that's through a PR firm or through yourself, and just give me very briefly why your story is unique. And that jumps out more to me because a press release feels very formal. Now, a press release is a great way to blast it out to the world, right? That is, if you get it on the wires, you can get maximum exposure that way in front of media. It gets picked up by, whatever wire. It's just that it's not very personal. So I would say limit your use of press releases to more official things like, I don't know, if you do change your menu. What do you have to say about that, Jonathan?
No, I agree. Generally speaking, yeah. If you have something to announce, then you have a press release. Make sure the press release is simple, to the point, and make sure that there is contact information. For the love of God, make sure that there is contact information so that we can ask questions. One don't is not including contact information with a press release.
That seems like something you all could nail. We could all be 100% perfect.
Put it on your
contact
website.
info.
Put it on your website. Too.
Okay, on your website.
Put
Good.
your contact information on your website, even if it's an info at.
Yep.
I cannot tell you how many restaurants I have tried to dig around for contact information and abandoned writing about a concept because I couldn't find any contact information.
Yeah, have if you have a website, you have a news section, have a press contact. That is the easiest thing you could do.
Okay, so that leads into the next question. The person asked, are there common mistakes you see operators make when telling their story to the media? So, number one, have contact info. Are there other mistakes that operators make when telling their story?
Mistakes. Don't pretend like what you're doing is God's gift to the restaurant industry if it's something that's been done before. There's a lot of people claiming to be the first of this, that, or the other thing. It's really hard to be the first of anything in the restaurant industry. You really need to go search, do your homework to make sure, because if I see we're the first to do whatever, and I will know, and Jonathan will know that you're not, that to me is a red flag. Like, they didn't even do their research to find out if they were the first. So don't say this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. just say, hey, I think we have a unique story and I really want to share it with you. And I think your audience will benefit from that. At the end of the day, we're trying to help the restaurant industry be better. How can your story help be a part of that? Don't come in with a sledgehammer and say, we're the greatest brand ever and we deserve to tell our story, because it turns me off.
One mistake I'll say is this. If something bad does happen, and, like a lawsuit or some sort of controversy, whatever, and a journalist wants to write it, the worst thing that you could do is not give your side of the story. That is a mistake I see all the time. We see people and that's really where this relationship with the media is really important. Because, like, if something happens at your restaurant and I know who you are and I can ask you, and like I can tell you I'm an investigative journalist. I've written a lot of these types of stories, and I can tell you countless numbers of times over a 30 plus year career in which a conversation in which I had something happen and I had a story in my head because it was bad about, a restaurant or some sort of entity. And then I got the other side and it completely changed the complexion of the story. That other side is really, really important. And that is our job. Our job is to get all sides of the story. It really is, no matter what. That is really important. So don't ignore that.
That's a great point. Okay, this is going to be our last question. We're going to look forward. Question is, what topics do you think will dominate restaurant headlines in the next 12 to 18 months?
You want to go first on that?
Oh, you mean besides the economy creating further havoc? I mean, that's basically it. You want to know the story to me that I think is going to dominate over the next 18 months. That's it. I think that what McDonald's did this week is significant. I think that unless the economy, look, if the economy does improve, great, then things are good. But a weak job market is the worst thing for the restaurant industry. And it's coming at a time when consumers are already cutting back. That is discouraging to me. And so it is going to be really, really important for the restaurant business to maintain a good value proposition for the consumer to get this kind of attention. That is what is going to dominate the news over the next 2 years, probably.
Yeah, and I can't answer that much better, so I'm going to turn the question a little bit on its head. I want to talk just really briefly about the future of media, because one thing that Jonathan and I are facing right now, much like you, is how is AI changing media? And so I think this is an important thing to say here right now, because we'll see this happen in the coming years. Our model is really dependent upon page views and SEO. And if you know anything about AI, it's completely destroying that. Wall Street Journal even sued Google because Google AI is just decimating our page views. I bring this up because the new thing is going to be GEO, which is generative engine optimization, and how AI can support your brand. And I want to say that because our mandate for the rest of our careers is going to be to build trust with our audience and to be an authority on subject matter so that AI points to us. Because if anything is just common facts out in the public, AI it doesn't even make sense almost for us to cover it anymore, because you're going to get that from AI. And the reason I point that out is because I think here's an opportunity, which is if we're going to build trust and have proprietary stories, exclusive stories, we can tell your stories. If we're the only ones telling your stories, that's good for us because it's going to help this new GEO model. So I know it's a different way to twist the question, but I think the format of media, you guys got to watch this. It's really going to change. And it's going to change how we write stories as much as what we write about.
I would like to see AI make smart-ass comments on a stage, though.
Yeah.
AI cannot, well, when he and I are holograms at Next Restaurantology, we'll see.